this is the Mekong tank that we just see from the outside.
Yes,
we can see.
So this is where, you know, the divers go and feed the animals.
Yeah, this is what we call the diver entry. So you can see the divers will come into here and then they will go and do the feed under the water. This, of course, is good for our visiting public, like to see the fish being fed.
Yes, sir.
But also, from our point of view, we have the divers feeding because we need to make sure the correct fish are eating the correct food and the correct amounts.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So if we just threw food in, we wouldn't be able to really monitor who's eating what. So with our divers going in, we can just manage the feeding a lot better.
So yes, Mr. Mark Dainty, because in Angkor Wildlife and Aquarium, you know, people can see, yes, you know, the fish in their beautiful enclosure with, you know, the wall, the you know, the dome-shaped arc, glass arc or something like that, sir. But at the same time, here you also have a special program that you take tourists to the back of the aquarium tank, sir. So if they come here, what can they see, sir?
Yeah, so we do a few separate tours, specific educational tours or VIP tours. One of them is called the River Monster Lecture, where we focus on the endangered Mekong species of fish that we have here. And also we educate about some of the issues with these species and what they face in the Mekong. And during that tour, we go to the back of house and people can see how the aquarium operates, how we keep the tanks clean and how the fish are looked after.
So normally the tour starts from here, sir?
Yeah, so the tour starts from the beginning and we explain about the Mekong River and its importance. So, you know, it runs through 6 countries, 4,000 kilometer long.
Yes, sir.
And can support, you know, more than 60 million people. So it's a very important river. So it means we have a responsibility to look after it. Now, of course, we're only down here.
Yes,
so
sir.
we have quite a short...
We are around here.
So from Cambodia down, we have quite a short part of the Mekong, but it's a very important part before it empties into the
Vietnam.
Vietnam, yeah.
Yes, sir.
So we have a very important part down here. So from right at up the top in Stung Treng and all the way down into Krache, we have some very endangered wildlife that live in that part of the river system. So it's a huge river,
yes, sir.
but we need to protect our part here, right, in Cambodia. So, and there's a few different issues. We have some local issues like sand mining of rivers, and not particularly only the Mekong, different rivers also, for construction and taking all that sand away. It affects some species quite badly. You know, the royal turtle and some other turtle species need that sand to lay eggs, and now their breeding sites have disappeared. It means that the turtles are disappearing.
Yes, sir.
And then we have some issues that are much on a larger scale, like hydropower dams.
Yep.
So the Mekong now has been dammed a lot for hydropower, and there's around about 11 dams before the water gets to Cambodia, and that affects
the movement of their flow.
It affects the amount of water coming down into the river system.
Yes, sir.
But also affects some of the species which are what we call migratory.
So which means they cannot go past the dam.
Exactly, they can't go back up. So some of the species, some of the large ones that I'll show you in a second,
yes, sir.
We get here, right? But we believe that they breed further up in the north. And now they can't get back to those breeding grounds because of the dams in place. The dams in place didn't put the design or the
like the
option for the fish to get round. And some of these fish are very, very big as well. So it's not quite as simple as you might see on the internet. People do it with trout or salmon in Europe and America. These are big fish. They can get up to 300 kilos. So
they cannot just jump over
no.
obstacles.
300 kilo fish, So these dams need to be looked at. And we don't know. I don't think these species are breeding in Cambodia. All right, because they don't migrate back to those grounds. So, we got a lot of research to do as well because we don't know, but we certainly know the numbers going down and they're considered critically endangered. So that means there are some issues along here. So we start the tour explaining about
general information
about the Mekong, and then we'll come across and see some of those endangered species we're talking about.
Yes, sir.
And also we link this tour to the Tonle Sap River because it is very closely linked.
Yes, sir.
We just talk about the water flow from the north.
Yeah.
That affects the Tonle Sap massively because the Tonle Sap floods every year when the river flow reverses, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, without that pressure of water from the Mekong, if that river doesn't reverse, that means the Tonle Sap won't flood, and that affects wildlife and everything.
Human life.
No fish, no breeding fish, no. So it's all linked. All this ecosystem is linked. So we try and bring that all together in this tour.
Yes, sir.
So this is our Mekong tank. So like I say, we keep it nice and clear so you can see the fish of the Mekong. The Mekong itself is naturally a sandy
environment,
murky water. But of course here you can see the fish in good detail. So we've got the large ones in the center are the Mekong giant catfish.
Yep.
These are one of the migratory animals that travel long distances in the Mekong, but no longer can. And we have also another similar looking one called the giant Pangasius. This is also
migratory.
Yeah, and critically endangered also. We've got some young animals in here, not big yet.
Yes, sir.
And then we have the royal fish of Cambodia. You know, the giant barb.
Yes, sir.
This one coming towards us now. These are also critically endangered. And we have a Julian's carp or Julian's barb in here. The stripy barb here.
Yes, sir.
Also one of the critically endangered fish. We still have a decent population of these in Cambodia.
Yes, sir.
We see them, if you travel to the fish markets in Stung Treng, around Krache, we see a lot. Which means we have a decent population here, but we know globally over their range that they are still very, very endangered.
So what are the common questions that visitors on the back of house tour normally ask about fish when they see this tank, sir?
I think mostly people are interested in how we look after the fish. That's what most of the questions we get. This is why doing the back of house tour, we explore about the operational side of running the aquarium, keeping the fish happy, and we're creating an environment
like
very artificially. And people really like to see the workings of that and how it's done. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So we shall go.
We keep going around.
Yes,
of
sir.
course, all of these other tanks as well. These are all.
So these are freshwater.
These are all freshwater Cambodian species. Yes. So all from the same river system.
So normally each tank will have their own system. For example, this part of the tank will have their own, water system, and that part will have their own water system.
Yeah. So the individual tanks, like this one and this one, they don't have different systems. These are part of the same system. So these are one system. But then the large tanks, such as the Mekong tank, that is its own system. That's only one.
Is it for redundancy, or maybe they need different composition inside the water, sir?
Well, it's just more a matter of design and how it's going to work best and work most efficiently. So moving water from here over to here is more of a logistical nightmare.
Maybe.
So it's easier when we get a tank this big. This is 500,000 litre of water. So it's easier to have that on its own system. The smaller tanks, a bit easier to move small amounts of water.
But the water are basically the same.
Yeah, pretty much. So our water parameters, so our pH levels and our temperature even, all of these are the same because it's the same system of water that we're trying to recreate. So they're all from the same type of water. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So how many people do you need to look at, let's say the freshwater part of the aquarium, sir? Like,
what do you mean? How many people?
Like how many technicians do you need to
look after?
Yes,
okay, so we have 7 full-time aquarists, and then we have a senior aquarist who manages the team. So there's eight people, eight full-time staff that manage the fish and the waters. Yeah. On top of that, we have a maintenance team, and we have what we call the LSS team, life support systems, and these are maintenance just for the aquatic systems here. So
Yes, sir.
Keeping all the pumps running well, all of the electronic equipment. So this is a different department.
Yes, sir.
So on this department, I think there's 3 or 4 just focusing on LSS.
I see, sir. So they must be kept, checking like 24 hours a day.
Yeah. So we do hourly checks, just to make sure pumps are working properly, ozone machines, and the different things that we use to keep the water not just clean, but oxygenated, moving exactly how the fish need.
Yes,
we do that. We do checks every hour.
But for example, that tank over there, so you said it is 500,000 liters.
500,000. Yeah.
So if for example, hypothetically, let's say the oxygen generator fail, like how long can the fish survive in that let's say decreased oxygen?
I mean that really depends on what species of fish. So some species of fish cope in lower oxygenated water levels better than others. So it really depends. Different species are affected differently.
But how about like the big one?
In a system like this one, we have quite a lot of fish inside it. So the oxygen levels will deplete pretty quickly. So I mean, I couldn't say how long they would last after, but important for us that we have a backup system. So, for instance, power in Cambodia can cut quite often.
Yeah, during hot season, especially.
So we just put things in place to make sure it cannot fail. So, of course, we have power cut, but we also have solar power. We have over 1,000 solar panels.
Generator
for the aquarium because green energy is free energy, right? And then, after that, we then have a generator system. And we also have uninterrupted power supplies. That is basically a big battery.
Yes, sir.
That when the power cuts, it kicks in straight away. So we have a numerous.
So you have like 3 or 4 systems in play
to make sure that we can't go without power, right? Because our systems and our fish. So we call them life support systems because it's exactly what it is. It's like us being in ICU in hospital
in coma,
with somebody breathing for us. Our systems are doing that for the fish all the time. So these life support systems are super important, and we need to make sure everything's running correctly 24 hours a day.
Yes, sir. So now we are in front of one of the let's say filtration system.
But the back of house. So this is where the systems operate and where our aquarist staff do most of their work in the back of house.
Yes, Mr. Mark Dainty. So now we are inside the back of the house.
Back of house,
which means the back of the aquarium. So we see all these pipes and also the filtration system. So I mean, normally how does it work, sir? Like it keeps on running 24 hours a day?
Yeah. So the pumps are never turned off. The pumps run all the time. And just very basically, what it's doing is drawing water from the main tank. And it will go through these sand filters. So these are pressure sand filters. So they're filled with small bits of sand. The sand will actually catch any of the debris that we don't want in there, right? And then out the bottom comes cleaner water. We can reverse this system and do what we call a backwash.
Backwash.
And then that water will go in the bottom and it will release all of the debris that we don't want, and then it will go out into the waste, right?
Yes, sir.
There is a way of cleaning itself.
Yes, sir.
And then some of the water will then go through what we call our biological filtration, which is around the corner. And that's where all our really good bacteria lives. And the good bacteria that changes like ammonia into less harmful chemicals for the fish.
So what you mean, like there are 2 types of waste. One is the, let's say the particle waste, maybe like rock, or maybe a dust, something like that.
Leftover food or so we have like organic matter.
Yes, sir.
That we want to take out, right? And then of course we have a biological.
The waste from the animal.
This is what causes the problems. So,
yes,
our biofilter, the bacteria that lives in there, that bacteria we can never lose that, right? So we never empty it. It can never go dry. We never use any chemical in any of our filtration because also chemicals generally are pretty harmful for the bacteria and stuff like that. Yeah, so these systems run 24 hours a day to make sure that all of our water that you can see from the front is not just clear so you guys can see it, but also is in good quality for the fish. Yeah.
But you said that this system is a closed loop system.
Yeah, we call closed system.
Yeah. So what do you mean by closed loop system?
By closed system is so often people think that we've constantly got fresh water coming in, but it's not. So this system is just a loop. So we have the main tank, we have the filtration, we have the biofilter, and then it just keeps going around. So it's what we call a closed system. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So we go up there, sir?
Yeah, if we go up, this is the Mekong tank that we just see from the outside.
Yes,
so we can see.
So this is where the divers go and feed the animals.
Yeah, this is what we call the diver entry. So you can see the divers will come into here and then they will go and do the feed under the water. This of course is good for our visiting public, like to see the fish being fed.
Yes, sir.
But also from our point of view, we have the divers feeding because we need to make sure the correct fish are eating the correct food and the correct amounts.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So if we just threw food in, we wouldn't be able to really monitor who's eating what. So with our divers going in, we can just manage the feeding a lot better.
Yes,
Some of the food we can throw in. So you can see some of our fish eat vegetables. These are peas.
Yeah.
Some of the fish eat fish, and some eat both. So by our divers going in, we can manage exactly who's eating what.
Yes, sir. So about the tour, normally people can learn something different if they stay on the outside, sir.
So we have on the outside, of course, we have a lot of information about each of the fish species,
yes, sir.
The problems they face in the wild, or the information we look at about the Mekong River. There's a lot of information at the front that people can read about and learn about, but if you do the tour and we come to the back of house, of course, we can discuss a lot more in that time. We can teach you more about the operational running of the aquarium, how it all works, basically. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So normally, the people who take the back of the house tour, are they, scientists or maybe teachers?
No.
Maybe general population.
Just people interested. So quite often, there's a lot of tours here that go to Tonle Sap. So people are interested in Tonle Sap or the Mekong River, and interested in nature in itself. And because we're so close, that actually what works quite well is if you go to the lake and you go to visit the floating villages, if you come here afterwards, we can show you the species that are in the lake, in the river systems, the endangered ones. So you can kind of complete your tour. You get to see the animals as well. So
yes, sir.
A lot of people come from that. Also, we have quite a few come that are actually leaving SIEM REAP at the new airport, and they're leaving in the afternoon.
And you want to see this,
or people are just waiting around for the time when they need to go to the airport. Our personalised tour here is 1 hour. It lasts about 1 hour. So we get quite a few people coming in to come and see this, and something to do before they then go off to the airport, because the airport's very close.
Yes, sir. So in this inner facility here, what do you normally tell the tourists? Do you tell them about the system and then the tank?
Exactly what we've spoken about. We just explained about the mechanical filtration.
Yes,
and then this is the biological filtration I was telling you about. So all that water going into there, that's where all that good bacteria live. And then we've got some UV lights, and we have an ozone system. So all of these parts make up the filtration. So we just explain to people, what goes into looking after the fish, and how we run an aquarium.
So how many liters do you filter per second or per minute, sir?
You'd need to speak with Joseph about that. He's the technical guy on the water.
And that one is the saltwater
This
tank.
is, yes, so the ocean tank is over there. This one's slightly larger than this one. This one's 600,000 litre. But the systems are very similar.
Yes, sir.
This one's just a bit of a bigger system. And because we have the salt water, we have the protein skimmers. The big tall things you can see at the top. And this is quite useful with saltwater systems. So it takes that excess protein out the system. So from food, oil from the fish, this sort of stuff in the system is not good. So the protein skimmers is just a way of taking that from the water. But other than that, pretty much the same system.
Yes, sir. So that big tank over there is the sand.
This is sand filter, yeah.
Sand
so
filter.
it's filled, this one, well, both have 7 tons of sand inside, and this sand just acts as that mechanical filter, and it stops any large particles passing through, so it catches it for us.
So similar to the water filtration system in houses that people clean their water.
Yeah, so similar thing. So instead of using like quite often in the house you use like a fibre. The water goes through a material which catches the pieces. We just use the sand. These are also the same we use for swimming pools.
Yes, sir. And also like normally when people come here, like how do they feel, sir, when they see all this system, when you look at their face?
Yeah, I think people enjoy coming into here because it's something they've never really seen before. And I think they get maybe a little bit overwhelmed because it's, you can hear all the pumps, it's quite noisy in here. There's always a lot of work going on in here. And the systems are very large, obviously. So I think people will really find the back of house interesting.
Yes, sir. And for example, if they wish to come here, like, do they need to book, the program in advance? And how many people will you take per tour, sir?
Well, we can accommodate per tour from one person. We have single people doing tour, and up to around about 10. 10 people. So
more than that, it's a bit crowded.
We can try and separate the groups, so we can do more than one tour with different people. So we can accommodate more, but what we want to do, because it's a personalised tour, it's back of house, and we talk like this. If we have more than 10, it's not quite as personalised, right? So doing a tour with big groups is a little bit more difficult. So we just keep the group small, and then everyone can keep interacting and understanding.
And about the food, sir, like who normally cook the food for the fish, or how do they manage the food, sir? So
we have a food preparation kitchen. So all the aquarists, they all prepare the food for the fish every day. And the fish food or the diet, same as the animals outside, we work out a nice balanced diet, the correct foods and the correct amount. So normally with fish, you work out on a percentage of body weight. So we will calculate how many kilos of fish are living in this aquarium.
Yes, sir.
And then by that, we can work out what feeding we're going to do. So I think right now these guys are on a 2 or 3% maintenance weight. So that means that then when we prepare the foods, we know exactly how much to weigh to go in. Because what we can't do, we don't want any of our animals getting fat or getting too skinny. We need to keep them on a good level. And how we do this is what we call body condition scoring. So, for the tiger, for example, or the giant catfish, we can look at them, we know what shape they should be. We know their wild shape.
Yes.
And that's good. If they start to get too round, they start to get too fat, we know, and then we can change the diets.
But the kitchen for the fishes are not here, they are in another place.
It's just in another back of house, where we were earlier. The kitchen's just around the corner.
Yes, sir.
But you can see the kitchen.
Yes, sir. But in the wild, do fish normally stay densely like this? Or they disperse?
No, not well, some species live in groups, but no, normally in aquariums we keep a higher number of fish.
So the density is bigger?
Inside the aquarium, for sure. In the Mekong, there is not this many fish. Certainly now, not with the amount of fishing activity that goes on and pollution and whatever else. But no, in captivity, we can keep a higher number together.
Yes, sir. So this is 500,000 liter.
Yes.
And also the excess water will be recycled back.
Sorry?
So the excess water will be recycled back to this
Yes.
hole here.
Yeah, so what the pumps are doing actually is they're filling this water. They send the water back, they're filling it, and it's overflowing. And that's the water then, it's gravity fed into the system.
I
So
see.
this is just, yeah. So you can see the blue pipes around the top. This is where this is pushing water back into the system. So this has been through the filtration and now it's going back in. And where it overflows, this is now water going in to be cleaned before going back inside.
So you said the waste like ammonia, like food
Yeah.
waste will go to the top and then it will go back into the filtration here.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
this is just a way of taking water out, and we use the gravity fed into the system,
Yes.
and then it's pumped around. So yeah, all of the water is filtered every day. So the pumps, the specifics of the pumps are designed and measured that we have what we call a flow rate, and it means a certain percentage of water is filtered every minute or every hour. So during the design and construction stage, all of that is worked out. How much water, how many fish, and then so how big our pumps need to be, how much water we need to move.
Yeah.
So that's all worked out and designed before anything is even built.
Yes, sir. But is this tank receiving a maximum number of fish, or you can put more fish?
Yeah. Now we're at about a maximum number.
About maximum.
We
number.
wouldn't put any more in now. Yeah. So also a lot of the fish that we originally got 3 years ago when we started to make this tank, also they've grown as well. They're getting bigger. So we've actually started to remove some fish from here.
To other tanks.
Yeah. So we call it the bio load. Right? We don't want to overload this system because it can be stressful for the fish, but also it's stressful for our system. So like I said, this system is designed to cope for a certain amount of fish. And we don't want to go over that because then our water quality will start to be more difficult to keep good. So we manage the amount of fish all the time. Yeah.
So again, just to sum up, sir. So these are all the machinery that is needed in order to make this tank
Clean.
work.
Yeah. So
Wow.
like I said, this one tank is what we call a closed system. The marine tank is the same.
Yeah.
And then in the middle, we have smaller tanks, which are for quarantine, or if a fish is sick, we can treat it. And this is another separate system,
Yes,
but
sir.
that system does many tanks, many small tanks, all one system. Yeah. If we go down, well, I can show you the quarantine and treatment facility.
Yes, sir.
And also the ozone machine, which is something that keeps the water very clear, so you can see through it.
Yeah, we can go. So the combined water can be well over 1 million liters, sir, including the salt water.
Yeah, so that's just the two big tanks. So that's not taking into account the small tanks across the other way. Yeah, and some of the other systems that we have connected.
Yes, sir.
So if you go along here, this is a quarantine facility. So any fish that come in or any animals that come in, we put through a quarantine first. It's very important. We don't put anybody that maybe has a parasite or is already sick
Yep.
into one of the big tanks and then make everybody sick. So they go through quarantine first to make sure everything is okay.
So this is a new one.
Yeah, so this is a new animal that's going through its quarantine now just to make sure have no parasites or anything that it can then infect the other fish. So normally, depending on the species and the quarantine, they stay in here for anywhere between 2 and 3 weeks before they move into the large tanks.
So similar to human being, similar to how we quarantine also.
Yes, during COVID, we all found out what quarantine meant, right? It's the same thing, really. Yeah.
So when you quarantine them, like how do you observe them, sir? Like you look at their behavior and their feeding pattern.
Yeah. So we can tell a lot when we work with animals, not just fish, that we know their normal behaviours. We know if fish is, let's say that, you know, moving in the correct manner, they have a good appetite, eating well. All of these things go towards us determining if the fish is doing what it should do, if it's healthy or not, or yeah. Yes, sir. And then we have a lot of smaller ones along here, so we can.
This one looks like an eel.
This is an eel.
Yeah.
So half of these are freshwater and half are saltwater. So this is a saltwater one.
So why do you need the cover, sir? They can jump?
It depends. Some species can jump.
Oh.
So when we first made this, we made the top because, yeah, some of the species can jump. So some of the freshwater Asian species, like the arowana, you know, the dragonfish,
Yes,
is known in Cambodia. This is like a species of fish that jump into the trees and catch insects or other things to eat. So for something like that, we need to cover, just in case. We don't want to jump out on the floor.
Yes, sir. But how about like the giant barb, like that weighs 300 kilograms? How did you quarantine
Well,
that?
ours, at the minute, weigh around 100 kilos. So ours are not 300 kilos.
Oh,
They're much smaller. They have been known to get to 300 kilos.
Oh.
But ours are around about 100 kilos. And we have larger quarantine tanks.
Larger tank, yes.
And because quarantine's only temporary, we can keep a smaller area for 2 or 3 weeks before moving into the big one. And these are all freshwater. These are all fish that, these were all bred here at AWA. So we have some of the parents of these, and they spawned, laid eggs. So our aquarists hatch the eggs and rear the babies. This fish is not endangered, but it's a very good thing for the staff to learn. You know, so they have a lot of special care for the eggs,
Yes,
separating the parents, and how to raise fish from very, very small to adult. So this one was a good training for the staff. So when we start to do a lot more breeding with, hopefully with a lot of the endangered species,
Yes, sir.
our guys already know a little bit about rearing baby fish.
Yes, sir. So in order to become like, you know, the supervisor of all this system, sir, like, does he need to know about fish and at the same time about the mechanics of the system?
Yes. So this over here is Joseph. Joseph's our aquarium manager.
Yes,
so
sir.
he runs a team of aquarists. So Joseph's background has been in aquariums for many, many years, 17 years, I think. So Joseph understands not just about fish
Yes,
and what
sir.
they need, but he understands about water. So remember, we do a lot of water testing, and we use different things to determine how the water needs to be managed. And then, yes, also he knows about LSS. So the mechanical operations, fixing pumps, fixing ozone machines, and how all that works. So yes, his main job, since he's been here, is passing that knowledge on to his team. Right, same as like myself with my team outside.
Yes,
they
sir.
need to learn how to look after snakes, tiger, and rescue animal, all this. So it's our job to transfer that knowledge to our Khmer team so they know how to operate.
Yes, sir. So at AWA, only the aquariums need sophisticated machine like this. But for example, like the tigers or other land animal, they don't need fancy machine like this to survive.
No. So we don't need so much machinery with some of the terrestrial animals. We still have a lot of working systems that are the same like this. So for instance, the crocodile, the big crocodile pond has a large filtration system the same like here. And in the reptile house, the turtle enclosures, aquatic snake, they all have systems like this as well. But in general, large mammals like bears, tiger, we don't need it.
No.
With reptiles, it's slightly different, but we need different equipment. So for reptiles, we have like specific UV light. So a special type of light that reptiles need from the sun. If they don't get it, they can get sick. So we use equipment that is specifically designed for reptile use to make sure that they're happy and healthy.
So the back of house in aquarium is also as big as the display. themselves.
Bigger, yeah.
Bigger,
There's more
even
space
bigger.
in here than outside, yeah. Yeah, so this room, it is not just about filtration. So like I said, we've got quarantine facility. We have separated, like a hospital tanks. If we have an animal that needs treatment, we can move into an individual tank like this, so we can manage treatment with different medicines or whatever. And then we have all the gear for the diving team.
Yes, sir.
Everything's stored in here. And then also we have an office desk for record keeping.
Yes.
So the teams keep records of everything. Like I say, we test water a lot. The LSS team check machinery every hour, and everything gets recorded. So we know exactly what's happening, and we know if something, if there's an issue somewhere, we know about it straight away.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So normally the staff spend more time here.
In here, yes.
Than the outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you visit the aquarium, you will see aquarist staff at the front, and you'll see the zookeeping guys around working. But yes, more time is spent in back of houses than in front of the visitor. Yeah.
Yes, sir. It's very loud in here.
Yes. In here, this is the pumps that are making this noise, and it we have big high ceilings, so it echoes a lot.
Yes, sir. So normally this is the end of the tour.
Yeah, so we finish off here. Actually, we exit through a different door, which goes to the entry plaza. So we have two options. If you pay to come and do a tour, we can do this tour. It's 1 hour. Some people have other things to do. Maybe they need to go to the airport, or their driver take them to Tonle Sap.
Yes, sir.
So then they can leave. Or if they come in here after and they have more time, then they can go to the rest of the aquarium and the wildlife park outside. So if you come to pay to do a tour, it's not just a tour. It's also have entrance to the rest of the park. Just depending on what your itinerary is. Most people stay and see the whole park. And like I say, if your driver have a time schedule, then this is why a 1 hour tour is quite a nice time, because we can fit it in
another thing to do before you leave Cambodia.
Before you go to the airport, or before you go on to Tonle Sap Lake or back to SIEM REAP. So, yeah.